I'm going to leave these guys to get on with it. I hope you really enjoy it. Please do use that chat function. Again, if you want to remain anonymous, just put anon at the end of it. I'll field those questions, and at the end of the session, we'll go through with Laura, Spencer and Poonam, and we'll ask those questions. Look, I know this bit of work really well. The guys have done an amazing job. It's really cool. So, and I'm really glad that you're hearing from everyone about it that's done it. So, yeah, without much further ado, over to you guys, and yeah, I'll catch you at the end.
Hi, so my name is Poonam, and I'm a trainee PBS practitioner at PBSUK, and we also have Laura and Spencer with us from Creative Care.
I'm Laura. I'm registered manager at Sternhill Paddock at Creative Care. Been here for about 3.5 years.
Hi, I'm Spencer. I'm senior team leader at Creative Care at Sternhill Paddock. Started off as a support worker in year 1, year 2, became team leader at year 3, and now a senior team leader.
Great. So we've had the privilege of working with Creative Care for many years now, and last year we got the opportunity to implement PBS at Sternhill Paddock and focus on practice workshops and supporting the team. So yeah, it's just kind of talking about how practice workshops helped us kind of embed PBS into the service, and we'll look at some data and how we structured the process of implementing PBS at Sternhill. So to start off with, we'll just kind of go through system-wide planning and how we started it all off. We'll then very briefly look at the PERMA model and speak about how we focused on quality of life. We'll then focus on behaviour support plans and how we kind of completed them as a team. And then we'll look into quite a lot of detail into the practice workshops, the process of the practice workshops, and then a bit of data, and then some staff feedback. Yeah, so to start off with, we kind of, me and a colleague, we went into the service. We already knew the manager and the team quite well because, as I said, we've been working with the team for so long now. But I don't think we kind of did so much in-depth work with the team ever before. So we firstly kind of went in, looked at what's going well for the team and identified areas for improvement. We spoke to all the staff members, Laura, and some of the supported individuals as well. We then went on to review the documentation they had already at the service. We completed detailed incident analysis using rhymes. And then we went on and discussed a plan with the manager to suit the service, staff, and supported individuals. So that was kind of the first steps, just kind of getting to see where everyone's at, what's going well for the service, and what we think can be improved, and where the team might need a bit of extra support.
So when we first started doing this, we were going through quite a difficult period within the home, with some staffing issues and with some of the individuals that we support. We'd not had sort of this in-depth support before. So what we didn't realise is actually the support was more, it was around staffing as well. So giving staff that support as well as the individuals and sort of tailoring that to each individual need.
It was really weird at first because it just felt like another person coming in, telling us what to do, knowing best and not knowing the service, the people we support, or not knowing us. But little did we know that the positive outcome it would actually give us, and the support it would give us.
Yeah, I think it's always difficult when you've got someone coming from outside telling you what to change, how to kind of do your job. But I think it was a bit more different because we started off talking to the staff and seeing what areas they were struggling with. I think that kind of became the start of the whole process, and that's where we kind of understood that these are the areas we really need to focus on, and it was kind of working with the staff rather than telling them what to do. So one of the first things we did before we kind of started on anything else was look at the PERMA model. Now, for those of you who don't really know the PERMA model, it's a model by Martin Seligman looking at quality of life. So I think we at PBS UK love the PERMA model, and we try and embed it in most of the services, especially at creative care. And what we think is sometimes we kind of tend to focus on the negative behaviours and challenging behaviours, but we kind of forget to look at what's important to the individual and what we can do to kind of focus on quality of life. So I think the PERMA model really helps the team to focus on what's really important to the individual. So the PERMA model basically stands for positive emotion, which is what makes the individual happy, what gives them positive emotion. The E is for engagement. So what do they like to do? What do they get absorbed by? Relationships, which is what we like to focus more on, is how can we build rapport with the individuals we're supporting? What can we do to help support that individual and build that rapport? And then it's meaning, and that's how does that individual get a sense of belonging and a sense of purpose? And then the last one's accomplishment. So that's more of a sense of achievement. How does that individual get a sense of achievement? So we kind of sat down with the team and we went through what it means for the person they support and what can we do to kind of improve that individual's quality of life. So we went on and created these PERMA profiles for every individual we support or the team supports, and we did this mainly in practice workshops where we kind of went through everything, what everyone thought was giving the individuals positive emotion, engagement, meaning, relationships and accomplishments. We then went on and developed some individualized meaningful PERMA goals for everyone. Now these were kind of looking at not just something that they enjoy doing, but it was things like what would give them a sense of achievement, like learning new life skills, going out, doing things indoors. We then went on and reviewed these PERMA goals monthly. We discussed progress and supported staff to continue goal implementation. And then we monitored the progress through workshops and daily notes. And I think this really helped the team kind of work towards them. I think it was a bit difficult at the start because we'd go in every month and be like, okay, so this is your PERMA goal, but we've not really seen anything being discussed in any of your notes. So is it still happening? Are you struggling with it? For the staff to then say, yeah, they've been doing it every week, but we've just not been logging it in. We just didn't think we had to. And then we kind of explained the importance of having all these great achievements. I think sometimes we're so focused on putting all the challenging behaviours into our notes and things that have not gone well that we sometimes forget to put in what's really went well. And when the team really understood this, they started putting pictures in, videos in, writing this all in their daily notes. And every month we'd go in and that's the first thing we'd start off with, that your PERMA goals, rather than doing them 3 times a week, you've been doing them 3 times a day. So yeah, it was great.
And so what the staff initially thought that it would just be another thing about talking about behaviours and them sort of being not just focusing on the negatives of things, but actually it was more about positives and promoting independence for people and tailoring the PERMA goals around making them more independent. So once the staff had realised that logging it, we started logging and looking at the goals and reviewing them on our Log My Care system with like pictures and evidence. So we were able to sort of see those in a more in-depth look.
Yeah, we one of the people we support, we're trying to increase her independence. So we set a PERMA goal. She likes putting things away, so we thought we'd try and get her to give us a hand, like filling up the dishwasher. And it's been going well. And now she actually does it herself. And yeah, it's just increased her independence. She gets praised for it and she likes doing it.
Initially, we set the PERMA goal for she had to empty the dishwasher 3 times a week. On reviewing the logs, we realised she was actually doing that 3 times a day. And that actually reduced her incidence as well, for giving her the opportunity to do that and put the things in the dishwasher that weren't out on the side. It would reduce her anxieties around things not being in the right place.
Yeah, and I think we realised that, as Laura mentioned, that it was meant to happen 3 times a week, and she was doing it 3 times a day. The following month in a workshop, we had to embed another PERMA goal for her because she was completing it in a day rather than in a week. So yeah, as well as that, we then went on and added more PERMA goals for her, which once again she's doing great at. So that's what we kind of started with. We started off with the PERMA model, and looking at how we can improve an individual's quality of life. We then went on to look at behaviour support plans. So the service already had some behaviour support plans in place, but we checked the existing plans for all the supported individuals, and then we discussed them with staff. We kind of looked at what staff know about them, how well they think they work, and then we went on and developed some new ones or added to the plans that were already present with the support from staff and the manager. We ensured that the whole team had input into this. I think sometimes it's not possible to have the whole team have input, but we were very fortunate to have everyone take part in this. And we also had night staff who kind of gave their input as well, because I think sometimes we don't get the opportunity for night staff to kind of stay and help us add to the behaviour support plans and have their input in. But this is, thanks to Laura, we had the whole team have their input. We then went on and did some procedural fidelity checks to ensure that the plans are correct and necessary changes were made to them, if not.
So like Poonam said, we added the input from all the staff team. So we gave a wider coverage of how people like to be supported, because people work differently with different people. In fact, I felt it was more beneficial for staff to be more active than I am. The support workers work with the individuals more than I do. They might see different things to what I would see. We involved all of the staff just because I think giving them a voice and making them feel like they have sort of an ownership of that PBS plan and how they've had input into that, and they can potentially have changed the way someone works with someone based on something that they've seen. We made amendments to the plans based on, we did really in-depth reviews of incidents on rhymes. We could pull all the data off and see sort of key triggers and sort of the days of the week that were a trigger that you wouldn't necessarily see by just looking at the raw data. But yeah, overall, just having all of the staff involved was really, really helpful and beneficial. It's actually, we've had such a reduction in incidents. The biggest reduction, I think, since pre-COVID, just based on having all of the staff involved in those reviews.
Yeah, and I think from what I've spoke to the staff as well, what they said in the past is we'd have these behaviour support plans and we'd get notifications to read them, but a lot of them said we just skimmed through it because we just thought it was another document we had to read. But because they were a part of creating this document, I think they all said we knew what was in it because we were the ones who were a part of it. So we wanted to read it. We wanted to make sure we were doing that. We understood it because we were a part of the whole process. And I think that was really important, because sometimes it's all good and well writing a behaviour support plan and just send it across to the team. But when the team's a part of creating the behaviour support plan, they actually know what's in it, what they need to do, and how they can actually embed that into the service as well. We went on to do some, just for those who don't know what a procedural fidelity check is, we made a very simple list of a few of the key strategies from each section of the plan. Me and a colleague then went in and did a few observations to see whether these were being implemented, and then necessary changes were made to the plan after discussions with the staff if we thought things needed to be changed. So that's what a procedural fidelity checks are. And I think this was the part when we really became a part of the team, because we were so in the service so often. I think the staff were so used to seeing us around as well. So the practice workshops, these happened on a monthly basis. You usually would have them bright and early in the morning, so that and we deliberately did this so that night staff could be part of it as well. Initially, the first few workshops we did, it was mainly based on debriefs with staff individually and as a group. I think, as Laura mentioned earlier, at the start, the team were going through quite a difficult period. So I think that was quite a big part of the workshops, just debriefing staff and Laura as well. We provided support to the manager and team leaders as well, so that they can help support the team embed PBS. And we did loads of group discussions on what the team thought would work rather than what we think would work for the team as well.
So we made sure that the workshops were at a reasonable time so that night staff could definitely attend, because it removed that sort of day and night divide where night staff necessarily don't feel part of the team. It gives all the staff an opportunity to have that debrief with someone external. I mean, I'm often involved in a lot of incidents, so having those debriefs for myself has been beneficial, and it's given me those skills to debrief with my staff team. We've actually started doing a debrief on the initial day of the incident, and then giving people a couple of days to reflect, and then we reflect on what we originally said in the debrief, and to see how feelings have changed after that initial incident, and they seem to work really well with the staff team.
As Laura was saying, then we had a big incident, and sometimes it's nice to speak to someone that is not part of our management team. And it was nice speaking with Poonam, and she actually listens. And these practice workshops have become that popular now. We've actually got people coming in on their days off to do them, which sometimes we struggle to get in for a team meeting. But on these practice workshops, they're actually coming in on their days off, which proves how well it's working.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's always nice to do workshops because we have such a big group, and when there's a bigger group, we get like great input, and we really come out with really positive things that we can embed into the service as well. So another thing we did in the practice workshops was monitor progress and outcomes of the PERMA goals. We'd look at what's going well, whether they've been completing the PERMA goals. If people were struggling with them, we'd kind of see what we can do to kind of help support the team. We focused on plans and discussed any problems they faced with those. We went through the procedural fidelity checks and the outcomes of these. And we also discussed data collected from their daily notes and rhymes. And we spoke about the positives and asked the team what went well. And I think that was quite a key thing, that sometimes we focus on what's not going so well, and it really can put the team down. But we always focus on the positives because the team were doing so well with trying to achieve these goals. And I think the data showed how well the team was doing.
So we've had practice workshops where we've just spoken about how people have felt, and people have just sat and listened to what we've had to say. We've had them where we've really focused on the really positives that was going on, no matter what the size. So it could be someone making a cup of tea by themselves for the first time, or even just getting back into a routine of going in the bath again. Something so small like that would seem small to us is so big for the team. It's making all the staff feel like they can say how they feel in the meetings, and they don't have to put on a front of everything that everything's okay when it's not. That the workshops have worked really well with the staff. We actually haven't had any restricted practices since July 2022, sorry, wrong year. Well, yeah, so that is really good.
Yeah, what Laura was saying about the and Bill mentioned about rhymes, I think it's a massive tool for us, I think, rhymes, because it's okay telling someone that the incidents have dropped, but now we actually use it in our team meetings where we print off the data from rhymes, which we can access at the click of a button, and we can actually show them the drop in the restricted practices or any behaviours, who's had them, when they've had them, and by showing the staff that, it does give everyone a big boost. So I think rhymes, I'm very big on rhymes. So it gives us the data we want there and then.
Like showing the data, it breaks everything down into sort of what day of the week is most popular, for instance, what time of day. Whereas if you just have all the raw data of all of the incidents, you wouldn't necessarily pick that out. As a manager, it gives me such bigger oversight of what's going on in the home as well, which is very reassuring.
Yeah.
I think any behaviour drops, that's obviously a good thing as well.
And it's worth celebrating.
Yeah.
So
Definitely. Yeah. Definitely. So just to go through the data, the following graph shows the overall number of incidents reported from the start of the year, January 2022 to December 2022. So as you can see, the gradual drop in incidents. We started support for the service from around April 2022, which is when the service was going through quite a difficult period. But since then, the service has reported no restrictive practices for the last 6 months. They've reported just minor incidents in November and December, and all the supported individuals have been meeting their PERMA goals and have since had more goals introduced as well.
I feel like sorry, Poonam.
That's okay.
Sorry, I feel like over the sort of past 6-7 months, we've managed to use more proactive and active strategies rather than the restrictive strategies.
Yeah.
And it just seems to work better. The people within the home are really happier, and the staff feel less stressed with less restrictive practices. Yeah,
definitely. I think that was quite a key thing when I was talking to a few staff members, that for them, someone I was speaking to earlier 2 weeks ago, I think it was, and he said before, they thought if someone's having an incident, the first thing they'd want to do is go and support them, and if that didn't work, they'd probably think of using a restrictive practice. But now, being a part of the behaviour support plans, he's realised that he can use other proactive strategies and active strategies where he won't need to use any restrictive strategies. So I think that was something that really stood out. So just a case study from a supported individual. We've just named her T for now, but she had her lowest number of incidents since she actually moved into the service over the last 6 months. She went out into the community for the first time in 3 years. She's now allowing more than 2 staff to do her personal care after many years. I think that was quite a big struggle in the past for staff, because there was 1 member in each team that was able to do her personal care, and if they weren't around, she wouldn't let anyone else support her with that. She's completing her weekly PERMA goals in a day, and she also likes to attend her workshops, the staff workshops, every month as well, which is great.
That was the biggest drop for her, and it was around staff approach. We implemented a practice leader system where the person that can do that personal care will work with another individual and train them up until they become a practice leader, and then it would just continue until everybody becomes a practice leader and supporting her with the personal care. And so far, she's actually having a bath every day now, which is amazing. She absolutely loves attending the workshops. She attends our team meetings as well. When we've had Machin training in the past as well, she'll join that and sign along with the training. She's so involved in those things, and she absolutely loves it.
Yeah, she's doing amazing.
And going back to the rhymes again, I think the data speaks for itself. The drop in behaviours, I think it says it all.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, she's doing great. And as I said, she's now going out after so many years, and the staff team have put such a big effort into supporting her with this as well, which is great. And after being introduced to being practice leaders as well, I think the staff team really took that on board and really supported her and really understood what they can do to kind of help her get through personal care and support her and build rapport with her as well, which was such a big thing. Another case study was for another lady we've just named R, but she's had no restrictive practices reported for the last 7 months, and prior to this she had physical interventions used every month on her since she's moved into the service. She's just seemed so settled now, and she's also reported her lowest number of incidents in October since moving into the service. All her incidents are now minor for the past at least 4 months. She's now doing a range of activities weekly, and we've had such great positive feedback from family, and she's also been discharged from the community as of yesterday, from what I believe.
Yeah, historically she's really struggled with transitions,
Yeah.
and they've caused quite a lot of significant behaviours in the past. We looked into sort of what were on RAMS when those sort of incidents happened, and they seem to tie in with her menstrual cycle.
Yeah.
So we approached the GP, and they introduced some extra PRN for when she's on a period. So she has some ibuprofen now, and it seems she doesn't seem to have as many spikes when she has a period now. She seems a lot more at baseline, and it has done wonders for her instance. We've had such a drop with her.
Yeah.
The fact that we haven't had any restricted practice of work since June 2022, it just doesn't ever escalate to a point where you would need to use that anymore.
That's it. Yeah, definitely. I think and whenever we get to come in as well, we just see how happy she is, and it's just so evident. She's doing so many different activities, indoors and outdoors, and her rapport with staff is
she's
unreal.
so affectionate towards staff. It's so lovely.
She's lovely. So yeah, that's another positive, and there's many more. To be honest, I think we found something positive and a decline in everyone's instance, but we won't go through everyone, but these are the two that definitely stuck out. So how we're kind of maintaining the support is we still continue the practice workshops on a monthly basis, just to kind of see what's happening, where staff are at. Are the PERMA goals still kind of being implemented? Are staff having any issues, even debriefs? So yeah, we still continue the practice workshops on a monthly basis. We monitor the progress towards the PERMA goals, and we've got another big review actually coming up, seeing as it's going to be a year since the last time the behaviour support plans were created, but we do also review them quite regularly as well. And that's how we maintain the support and continue the practice workshops as well.
I must say, I think if for some reason the practice workshops did stop, I think that would have quite a negative effect on our service. Absolutely.
They're just really embedded into the home and the structure of how the home runs, and the staff look forward to them. Often staff will come and say, when's the next practice workshop? So they really enjoy them, and it's nice to go over all of the data and celebrate the successes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I think just looking at everything, I think we've been very lucky to have the opportunity to embed PBS in the service. But more than that, it's just kind of focus on the process rather than on the outcomes, which is something we don't usually get a chance to do. It's usually, there's a problem, can you please go and support that individual, and try and do something about it, rather than let's focus on a process. And we did, and we've got some amazing positive outcomes from it. So I think that's really helped everything we've done. And it's so great because I think because Laura's been such a big part of this whole process, because she's been really supporting the whole embedding the PBS into the service. The whole team supported us along with that as well. So I think it's really important for the manager to be on board, because it really helps the whole team support us as well in this. So I think that's been great. But I think that's everything from us. So
I'd like to just take this opportunity to thank Poonam for everything she's done at Sternhill, for implementing the practice workshops. It's been a massive boost for us. So I'd just like to thank you for that on behalf of Sternhill.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's been the same for me as well. It's been great. Yeah, and that's everything. If anyone has any questions.
We've got some, Poonam.
Oh.
We've got some. We'll come over next year. knock anything over. Well done. Well done, guys. That was brilliant. Thank you so much.